Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we're updating Bitcoin and Ethereum and then looking at reasons for cryptocurrencies to have a relief rally in the second quarter of 2022. Without further ado, do those good things, like, subscribe, share it with a friend. And if you're looking to trade cryptos tax-free in the US, check out the link to iTrust Capital in the description down below for $100 of free funding capital when you use that specific link. All right, let's dive in. As always, my macro view is that we are in a macro bull market, looking at real estate, stocks, and cryptocurrencies, but focusing specifically on the blue chips, and my blue chip picks are Bitcoin and Ethereum. This is the reasons to have sold over the last 12 months, 24 months. It just goes on and on and on. Evergrande, COVID variants, money printing, supply shortages, inflation, second waves, credit cards being frozen, banks freezing accounts. The list is never ending. However, the market, of course, has seen in the S&P 14% correction, at least a pullback. But the broader picture, the scaling out, zooming out, we are still in a macro bull market. So while we have these negative news events and markets are down, but holding their bullish structure, I like this as a great time to be continuing to accumulate, which is why I mentioned iTrust in the beginning of the video. That's a retirement fund that you can use in the US. Links are obviously always in the description. And I use something similar here in Australia, my SMSF, where I just hold Bitcoin and Ethereum for the long term and focusing on the structure of those two cryptocurrencies. So if they do break down, sure, we can sell. But if they continue to hold up with this macro bullish environment, then continue to ride the gains up. Looking at the sentiment, 25 today, so we just dropped back into extreme fear. But regardless whether it's extreme fear or fear, the market really hasn't done too much over the last few weeks, with the exception of the odd bounce just in early March. Cryptocurrencies overall relatively stable. We are seeing a few drops at the moment, but it might just be short-lived. By the time I put up this video, we could have recovered and bounced back, and I'll show you why on the chart in just a sec as well. Ethereum 2800, the biggest mover today, which should probably take a few headlines, is ApeCoin 49 at the moment. It's up nearly 800%. I do see a few things on ApeCoin at $8. I think it came in at around $50. And a lot of people who are into this lost money straight away. You know, it's something that's aped up and pretty much being dumped. You got a supply of 1 billion. They bought at $50, now currently at $8. This will rug you. Although I don't say, I'm not advocating for this thing rugging anyone. There is some use within the ecosystem of Bored Ape yacht clubs for ApeCoin, but for the time being, I would expect extreme volatility, especially as the coin's new. You could have people who are receiving this for free, which are Bored Ape yacht club holders, NFT holders. They're getting this for free, so of course they can dump it on the market, and you've only got 28% supply circulation at the moment. Going back to Bitcoin on the chart, so just the last hour, 10 a.m., you can see the market broke down from these levels, the support at 40,600. Could it be something similar to what we saw a few days ago, where we had a bit of a trading range here at 39,000 and it dropped all the way down to about 38,500. So what I'm looking at here is the market quickly dumped and then recovered. And so maybe we're getting this on a shorter term time frame again, or a smaller move to recover. So in the short term, for this just to be a bit of a washout of stops underneath the lows at 40,500, you want to see in the next hour or two, like you can see back here, you had a few hours because it's a bigger drop. Within the next few hours, it to recover back up to 40,500 and hopefully break above 41,000 and start to consolidate for the next move up as well. Daily time frame, nothing much has changed since yesterday because we had a very small day. The market didn't do much at all. Volume was still quite high for a nothing day and a lower close, which may be why this is happening here, the market falling. Provided we hold the $40,000 level and start to consolidate again, we should get a push up. But the downside is we did have a big push the 2 days before, and then the market didn't really progress from there. Remember back to the 9th of March, we had a big push. The market couldn't push higher, and then we had to come back and reconsolidate before we had that next move to higher prices. Total market cap is also on the verge of breaking out of the downtrend. So that's a good sign for altcoins, which is why I'm still short-term bullish for alts for April or maybe even late March to just get a little bit of a pump throughout altcoins. Not all of them are going to pump, but I think we'll have a few which are looking all right. Something that's not an altcoin That's Ethereum. This is looking reasonably strong as well. We had some volume just a couple of days ago, closed above 50%. And then the following day, which is different to Bitcoin, you can see it closed up a little higher again. If we go back to BTC, you can see that yesterday it had a lower high and it's fallen the following day, whereas Ethereum had a higher high and the market is still trading within the same range. So it's only small, subtle signs here. It's still above the 50% level, but at least it's showing some short-term strength over Bitcoin and then consolidating for now above the previous high. So that's why I like Ethereum at this point in time, even on the ETH BTC chart, showing some strength. Check out the weekly chart here. You got the higher volume. The market has bounced off a support level, so that's a good sign as well. But the volume is really what I'm interested in. And on top of that volume, we've got a slightly higher close than the previous week. And then the following week, which is what we're currently in, has shown strength already. It's already started to push up higher. Obviously, we're Friday, we're a few days in. So the higher close at the moment, we'll have to wait until we get a close on Monday morning or Sunday night for everyone else around the world. But for now, this is looking like a pretty good sign for ETH in the short term for a potential relief rally. I've gone through and labeled a few of the weekly drops that ETH has seen in the past. So it has come down sort of 9 weeks and looking for a relief rally. How long could these things last? Another relief rally here about 4 weeks and then 3 weeks. You had 16 weeks down, then a few weeks up before the structure changed and the market started to head up. Had another 16 weeks down before the market head up again. And on the way down from these peaks, we had a relief rally of 2 bars. So that's 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And like I covered here, it had about 6 weeks. So the relief rallies in this bearish sentiment are probably 1 to 6 or so weeks. So if we get that from this point, I wouldn't expect this thing to be anything too long unless the structure changed and we broke back above 0.076 or 0.078. So somewhere up around these levels, which were the previous highs. So if the market, if ETH Bitcoin can close above these levels, 0.077, so get a nice close at 0.078, then I would say the structure has potentially changed for the short term. We might see some strength in Ethereum while Bitcoin happens to lag or maybe climb slower, but ETH may be climbing faster if it does close above that 0.078. The DeFi space may have caught on to this as well. You can see the total value locked is still at $206 billion. It hasn't come down too far from its all-time highs, which is sitting around 240, 250 billion. Whereas you notice a lot of other cryptocurrencies have tanked. They've dropped 70, 80%, some even at 90% now. But the total value locked has remained relatively stable considering the volatility in cryptocurrency. If we get an altcoin season, I don't expect it to be anything as long as 2021. I sound like a broken record talking about that, but I'll keep an eye on things like Atom. So from the Cosmos ecosystem here, the market hasn't crashed as hard as we've seen in other places, so that's a good sign as well. You can see these lows are getting higher, but sure, the highs are getting lower, but at least it's consolidating and staying above the previous highs that came in through that April and May bull market for cryptos. So it's still remaining above that, whereas a lot of other cryptos have started to fall beneath those levels and have come back to even their January prices of 2021. So that's a weaker sign, whereas something like Atom is at least holding up here. Luna is also looking relatively strong. In the short term, it has started to break down and put in lower highs, break underneath its 50% level of $90. This is just for the short-term time frame here. I'd be far more concerned if it did start to break down from $70, but currently at 85. So if it can consolidate at these levels, move higher, stronger for Luna. But if it does break down from 70, I'd be concerned that this is not going to make it in the short term and then potentially test some lower prices, somewhere between around 50 to $60. That hasn't happened yet, so I'm not trying to FUD Luna whatsoever. I'm just watching what the chart is doing here, what the market is doing, the facts, the data. The highs come in, the market has dropped back and put in a lower high. So the market couldn't be bought up to the previous higher levels. So that's saying something in the short term that investors are not seeing value in the market as they once did just a week and a half ago. That's not my opinion. That's just what the market is saying here. When you don't get bought up to that same high prices, then you have to wait and see, well, who's still playing in the market and who sees value at lower prices and who are willing to push it up to those higher prices. It was a quiet day on Bitcoin, but I'm starting to see the narrative shift towards Ethereum. And you can see on the chart that we're getting some earlier signs there. We've got some volume, we've got some higher closes on the weekly chart, which is much better than just checking the hourly or 4-hourly chart. We've bounced off some support levels and is also showing some strength against the BTC pairing. And so even though this could be short-lived, maybe it's to the end of March, maybe it's throughout April, at least in the short term, we're starting to see that. And that might lead to a crypto relief rally, which may last 1 to several weeks. But of course, we'll keep up to date with that. Check out the links to iTrust Capital in the link down below for $100 of free funding credit. And of course, our Patreon and free newsletter is in the top of the description there. Like, subscribe. See you guys at the next video. Until then, have more fun to get more done.